Had this invaluable experience with managing these large databases, but I didn't realize how that was going to scale my career at the time. The idea of databases was still, deep in formulation.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today, I'm here with Caroline Hobbs. Caroline is the visionary founder and chief broker of Reward Realty. She brings an unparalleled commitment and tech proficiency to Silicon Valley's real estate scene. Caroline, I'm going to stop there and let you tell us your story. But first, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show, taking the time out today, and to come share your story with my audience.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to hear about your journey. So maybe just give us some of your background and we'll dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am third generation real estate. My grandfather was a contractor, developer. My mother has sold new homes for Fieldstone for many, many years, and has since is just finishing up and retiring from a career in financing. I fell into real estate while pursuing my finance degree in college. So I was working for a top producing agent at Keller Williams in Palo Alto. She was actually recognized as their internationally number one selling agent and was my mentor for the first 6 years of my experience. So I like to say that I learned a lot about her processes, about her organization, straight from the beginning. I was helping manage her database of over 10,000 people. And back in 2007, 2008, when I was doing this, people were still using Excel sheets, like if anything, to track their customers and contact information and whatnot. So it was pretty, her database at the time was revolutionary compared to where other agents were. So utilizing my experience with that, I started Reward Realty in 2013. Life looked a lot different back then. It was before my family, before my husband, before my kids, any of that. But that's kind of like the roots to where Reward Realty started.
Okay. And yeah, I would guess that, 2007, 2008, that was, tech was not where it is now. I think it was 2007, I think.
Challenging times.
Yeah.
The market crashed.
Challenging times for sure in real estate alone, but even just like from a tech standpoint, isn't 2007, I think, is when the iPhone came out. Like I'm pretty sure that was the year,
like right around there.
Yeah. So it's like tech was, we think now it's a part of everything. Pandemic maybe even sped it up more for those of us, especially in the real estate space, or probably every industry.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was not the same as it is now. And it was, as someone who I had purchased some real estate and sold some real estate just in around that time, it was like nothing like it is now. Although I still think some of the processes are antiquated when you have to have an actual notary come to you and do all this stuff. But it definitely was not where it is today. So was that kind of your focus when you started Reward Realty? And was that like, I'm gonna implement these systems, the tech, all of that, kind of right from the beginning? Or is that something that evolved over time? How did you approach that, given your background?
So I'm going to be honest. I started the brokerage way before my aspirations behind technology really existed. I had this invaluable experience with managing these large databases, but I didn't realize how that was going to scale my career at the time. The idea of databases was still, deep in formulation. And so it wasn't until actually I joined professional coaching, after I was back to work and everything after having kids, um, through that professional coaching, that I really realized that like my skill set with technology and with organizing systems and being able to tie these things together is very unique for the real estate industry. And so with that encouragement behind me, we continued to grow and develop. And initially, everything was really just built for my own personal team and my own personal company to make sure that we were giving all of our agents the right tools and everything that they needed to succeed. And then taking a step back from that, and listening to my coach and understanding like what a unique offering that I have for my agents, they kind of help me realize that like this is something that other people need. And it's not just coaching, because at the end of the day, it's a skill set that not everybody is capable of even acquiring with skill. It's something that is your brain kind of works a certain way, or it doesn't. But creating these pathways and creating these systems for success actually changes the way that agents are able to do business, and in all honesty, even balance their life. Because ultimately, as you know, we all have a reason why that we're working. Nobody's working because they find joy in stress.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so like that's my goal, is to develop systems that you can run your business but still be able to step away and be able to appreciate how far you've come, where you're at, and still have your hands on all the different pieces that are moving.
And you're doing this, I guess, and I might be wrong, but I'm assuming exclusively sort of within that real estate brokerage space, or you're looking at like the tech and systems like throughout other industries. How are you, maybe, sort of how are you approaching it? What are these, in what use cases are you implementing them?
So it's a great question, because in all honesty, this is an area where there is boundless options.
Yeah.
The systems that we're creating for the real estate industry, and I spoke about this in another podcast that I was on recently, is yes, it's applicable to real estate teams and agents and brokerages that are trying to set up systems for their agents, so that way they're following through and they're making the most return on investment for different opportunities that they're creating within their marketing efforts. And our systems absolutely track that and harness it and make sure that we're capitalizing and following up on those opportunities and able to see them as soon as they pop up. However, many of our systems can easily be tweaked for other industries. So as I mentioned, I spoke about this in another podcast, and he brought up developers, people building out housing developments. 100% could totally work. Could it also work? We are in the process of working on an AI software that will use machine learning to identify different contract pages and be able to sort them accordingly and scan them for completeness and signatures. So that could that be applicable in other industries? 100%. Any business that's using a contract, we could run through our system, have the system learn the contract and identify whether things are missing. So real estate is my main focus. It's often pushed aside. And in all honesty, as I develop for real estate, I also look to outside industries for inspiration, because there are a lot of technologies that are available that are maybe only harnessed into like specific specialty sectors. And by using those same technologies that are already available and applying them to different industries, you can create completely different tools.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very smart. I mean, it's fascinating to me to look at you might think on surface level, certain industries are totally unrelated, and there's no no they don't cross paths in any way. Like I'll just use myself an example. Like I'm a veterinary
Yeah.
surgeon and real estate investor, and you would be like, duh, there's nothing that could possibly be similar in those two worlds. And it's like the deeper I get into real estate, the more I figure this out. Like at the end of the day, like there's certain skill sets amongst people that translate very, very well across industries. And then there are also, like you say, like there are tech platforms, different systems and solutions that like you can see being used in one way. Like, why don't we just do this right here? It'd be the same, the same thing with a few small tweaks. And it's kind of a
So
fascinating thing to like notice that.
for example, like for veterinary surgery, you could use our systems to send out contracts, analyze them, make sure that they're completed correctly, store the paperwork. You could create trigger point actions where it's like reminders going out before the surgeries or appointments or whatever, follow-ups being done, calendaring being done. We set up all those kind of integrations, and
Yeah.
any kind of CRM, whether it's for real estate or sales or vets, even
Yeah.
it's a digital Rolodex at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so it's to me, when we were choosing our partner companies of who we would be building our systems off of, we just looked for the most easy to use, scalable option that we could tie different API codes to, in order to develop kind of like a super system is what we're building, in a lot of ways. So it's like the second a client goes and moves to a different status, which for real estate, it goes under contract, they'll get mailed a gift automatically. It'll start a sequence of things, letting them know all the different steps that are going to happen, send them videos before these things happen, send them follow-ups after those, just so that they know that we're with them 100% of the way and they're prepared for each and every step. The more proprietary thing that we're building right now is more of like a client facing tie into this, where it will kind of, you'll have a portal that you can log into and see all those different things. So it's not just like a flood of emails coming into your inbox every day. Because I don't know if your inbox is like this, but my inbox can be a really scary place to live.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. There's a lot of noise.
Exactly. And it's like sometimes you see things and you're like, I think I saw something about this, but maybe you archived it and it's lost. And so our portal just kind of brings it all together and creates a central hub for people to talk about a transaction or talk about and again, that transaction as we're building it is for real estate, but it can really be for a number of different industries.
Yeah. As you're saying these things, I'm just all of a sudden I'm like, this would be amazing. Like this would be amazing for investor relations, right? If there's a lot of investor relation portals, but to my knowledge, not a lot of like centralized messaging type of, so we send stuff out, but it's like to make it even more personalized to each investor or potential investor, you'd have that space that it's like they don't have to email you, they can send you a direct message through here. Like, yeah, I love that. I think that's amazing. So are you developing these yourself, or you have a team, or like how involved in the actual tech development are you? Are you actually selling houses or anymore or anything, or just it seems like a lot to be doing.
It is a lot. I am not a developer myself. I am surrounded by developers and engineers in my real life here in Silicon Valley. Um, I'm very OCD. So systems and building connections, and um, my mother is an excellent problem solver, and I developed those skills from her. So I think it kind of gave me a unique perspective. So although I don't do the development and the coding myself, I do know how to code a little bit. I understand how to make these things work, even though I don't write the JSON or anything like that myself. Um, I understand the pathways that they need to take, and I understand the opportunities that of like areas that you're able to tie in through the different programs. So I think I'm kind of like sitting there as like the dumbest developer in the room, but like the smartest technical head. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Like I can map it out for you and tell you exactly how it needs to run,
yeah.
but I can't build it for you.
But I think that's like a hugely important position. Like there's so many people cannot describe how they want these things to be built, or cannot relay that knowledge to the end user.
Yeah.
Right, like most of the developers and things like that, like I've tried talking to them, and they're talking in developer speak. I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. I literally no idea what you're saying. I don't understand the word. I mean, so I have two very, very good friends that are in IT, and it's like I ask them questions, and I'm like, can you say that like in a way that all I've ever done is turn on a computer? Because that's where
Yeah.
I need it explained. But that doesn't mean that I don't want like these technologies and think they're valuable, and like I just don't understand them enough to like do it myself, or even necessarily tell someone else. Like I have ideas of
So
tech that I think would work, but it's like, yeah, getting those ideas across.
So literally exactly what you just said is the reason we created our company. Because in the exact same sense that you just said all of that, realtors are looking for a complete solution that they can plug their database in and run their businesses and not have to worry about second guessing themselves or missed opportunities. They want to know that there's a system that's built that's reliable that they can count on to like bring those opportunities to the top of their system, harness them, nurture them, and even put their own unique twist on it. So like our engineers actually during the onboarding process help personalize it to your individual team and brand and what you want to do. We have certain preferred vendors that we are more familiar with setting up, but at the end of the day, if there's like a gifting company or something that you want to integrate and they have an API through Zapier, we will set it up to your system and have it roll and become an automated part of your transaction in order to like give that higher level of customer service ultimately to the end user.
Yeah, I mean, I think being in the seat of being able to, if not directly develop them, like not writing the code, but like being in the seat of being the visionary behind these things, like it's such a great place to sit, because there's no way that this isn't how the world runs in maybe 5 or 10 years is too long. Like it might be two. Like things
Yeah,
are happening so fast, but like especially with AI, like there's no way that this is
totally.
not how everything runs if you want to keep up, right? You certainly can stay,
100%.
in Excel databases and whatever, however you're doing it now, and I'm like, I'm including myself in this. Like I recognize
Yeah.
like you got to keep up, but it's fascinating to see what's available and what's becoming available quickly, and just being in that position of helping to develop it specifically within your industry, but like as we said, like this could be valuable across industries with some small tweaks.
Well, let's shift the conversation a little bit to talking about like yes, it's valuable in other industries and it's valuable today and it is the technology of tomorrow, but it's not only where everything is headed, but also it, it's breaking through like the balance of that work life and providing a higher level of customer service to people.
Yeah.
You know, people have raising expectations to the level of service that they're receiving nowadays, especially as competition continues to flood different market spaces. So making sure that you're not only the top of your game, but like, especially in real estate, realtors have to wear a lot of hats. They're not,
Mhm.
they are professional marketers, but they also have to be great people, person to person people. But then they also have to show up on time and they work 7 days a week. And,
Yeah.
and it just keeps going. And then you're writing contracts and you're responsible for the paperwork. So there's a lot of different demands that are being placed on people. And I think without those strong foundations, it's impossible to really succeed at a high level nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, it's, well, who knows? I don't know which is harder, but people that have been in an industry for a long time, if I don't know if it's harder for them to adapt to the changes that are happening or coming, or someone who's stepping in now. And I would assume it's maybe a little bit easier to kind of like not have a set frame of mind as to how things have been and have to flip-flop all that. But yeah, I mean, it's just being able to like automate and systematize so much of this will free up so much people's time. I think it's just that's a great point in terms of quality of life, just that sort of work-life balance, whatever you want to call it, whatever, if that really exists. But the reality is, even if work-life balance doesn't really exist, there's no reason we shouldn't try to find easier ways to do the easy things.
Exactly. And
It's
I mean, I was gonna support what you were saying in just that, like, I forget where I was going with this, but the demands are really high.
yeah,
And the demands are really high. And, without like, I think you were talking about like new agents versus,
yeah,
more
yeah,
experienced people, specifically within industries. And, it's a mix because I feel like without struggle, you have no appreciation for where you're at.
mm-hmm.
And so I think that for me, the people that will benefit the most from my technology are more experienced agents that have more clients and more transactions running
Yeah,
through it. They're going to see the automatic like relief the quickest
yeah.
versus like a newer agent that really doesn't have as much business. They're not going to appreciate it the same way, especially if they just don't know any better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
and I would maybe add to that, the experienced agent they're not learning how to be an agent. They already
yeah,
know that part. So all they have to do is be open to this new technology and in a way of doing things a little bit differently in a manner that suits them,
mhm.
versus someone coming new to the industry has to learn all the intangible parts of being an agent along with
The nuances and
the
yeah,
tech, like that, like as you mentioned, that person to person, interpersonal communication, like that can't be automated. That's not a that's not an AI thing. Like that's a you just have to learn how to talk to people. But at the end of the day, whatever you can automate, whatever that comes like on the back end or even the front end in lead generation, like all of that should be essentially off your plate. Take a little bit of
exactly.
time, take it off your plate, and then you get to focus on what I would imagine is actually the fun part of being an agent, or especially anybody that
Yeah,
in sales. Like what you want to do is talk to people, right? Like, and form those
Yeah,
relationships.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, so for us, like the way that we utilize our systems is really just to not only like use it as a funnel for our marketing, our different marketing channels, set that up so that again, there's no missed opportunities, but also kind of delving into those. We mentioned adapting to new systems for these experienced agents. And I think that one of the things that we're trying to solve with a lot of this is that agents are using three, four, five, six, seven, eight different systems all at the same time to complete a transaction. None of them are talking to one another. So there's a lot of like duplicated work efforts. Plus, you're hiring a transaction coordinator to take a look at the work and duplicating efforts there. So what our software is actually doing is we took very popular softwares that already are like some of the most popular within our industry and have built it over another development platform that syncs all of the information, cross-functionally between programs, that duplicate entries are not required. And then, like, for example, with our transaction management pillar of this, it's with a company called Open to Close. We've worked really closely with them to build out a very, very strong infrastructure. Right now, their current life cycle is about 8 to 8.5 months, which is not very long for a client life cycle on any kind of program, period. And the number one reason for that is not because it's not the best program out there, because it is years ahead against their only competition. It is definitely a revolutionary program, but it's built by developers. So it's challenging. It is super intricate. It has more code lines than the typical 3, 4, 5 applications all put together. So we're talking about like a super program that has super capabilities, but in all honesty isn't super user friendly. So we are harnessing that almost in the shadows, and building that out to suit your business, but you're never actually going to log in to that program. It's just going to run silently in the background to populate and make sure things are done on time according to, when things are actually due and different trigger point actions. So that's one of the things that we're really trying to do, is not just create another system that agents need to learn, but to integrate all of these into a single system where agents can work out of one space without having to duplicate work, keep calling clients and say, hey, guess what? I talked to 3 agents today about your house. They would log those calls in the system and it would let the sellers know. Or it would log it into some kind of central communication system, something like that. So that's our goal, is to really create an open dialogue between us and our customers and keep them prepared and keep them engaged throughout the transaction, because I feel like it's in those gray areas that people feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I really hate gray areas.
Yeah. No, I mean, as a someone who has bought and sold houses, my own houses, like, the chunks of time that there's a lack of communication, it's not really, it's just nothing's happening, but it makes you nervous. It makes you wonder, like, why isn't anything happening? Is there something wrong? Is my house not selling?
Exactly.
Are they not accepting my offer? Like, what's the, that kind of thing. So I totally get it. And I think your point about integration, like not just adding in another system to learn, is huge, because I feel like, as much as technology is amazing, kind of in all, overall technology is amazing, it's again, it's like, if you're I laugh a little bit when people talk about, like, being anti-technology or anti-AI or whatever, and it's like, what we just said, like, at the beginning, like, the iPhone came out in 2007. Like, everybody has a smartphone. everybody, like, you can't say you're against technology, you're just against the technology that you don't understand yet. But like, everybody has a smartphone and whatnot. But I think the biggest thing that I find challenging is integration. And
Mhm.
sometimes the lack of integration is done on purpose, like iPhone having a different plug than other smartphones, things like that. Like, it actually helps them generate more revenue. But like, I think and I hope that companies are starting to realize, like, that lack of integration with other good products is actually like a turnoff to using that specific thing. Like, I find one of my biggest frustrations is calendars. There's a
Mhm.
million different calendar apps, there's a million different scheduling apps, there's a million different ways to do it, but they don't integrate. And I can't find one that brings it all together. And everybody's using a different, depends on what email system you have. If you have a Gmail, you have a Microsoft email. Are you using Calendly? Are you using HubSpot? Are you using like, and believe me, I have spent time looking for one that would just integrate it all. And it's like, I can't get to the point. Even like Google Calendars is great, it still misses things.
Mhm.
I still miss, like, still things get double booked or don't get on there. And it's like, I don't feel like that's a thing that should be so hard. Like, that
Yeah,
should be like simple stuff.
I 100% agree. I've actually like I had this conversation with my office manager yesterday. Is I said, I don't understand why I am texting my handyman back and forth the list of items that need to be completed for the inspection report that were emailed into our systems and could easily have just been automatically distributed to him. I don't understand why he's not getting paid immediately and why the invoicing is like a three-step process.
Right.
I don't understand why these are not, so that's one of the next technologies I'm going to look at tying in is some kind of like service calendaring kind of program or something like that. 'Cause I'm sure like service industries like plumbers or inspection companies and things like that have to have some better kind of output than what we're using in this industry. I don't know. It's just one example of where I feel like you have to look out of the shell of
Yeah.
like where we actually want to use it and look at other industries maybe that have had the same kind of struggle in the past and see if they've come up with the solution yet.
Yeah.
Um, it's just it's frustrating and it feels like more people should be out there and utilizing these technologies that already exist and spreading the word and showing how they can be applicable in other industries.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a firm believer that if there's a lot of solutions for something, there's no good ones. Like, if
Yeah,
there was a good
yeah.
one, then that's what everybody would use. Like, or,
Hmm.
one or two good. It's like, why are there 52 calendar apps? Because none of them work right. Like, none of them
Yeah,
do what they're
exactly.
supposed to or integrate with the others or whatever. And it's just like, I think I have four at least on my phone. Like, it's just like, and there's really no reason for that. There should be one place. Like, you know what? I have one place and I write it down in a planner, which is ridiculous. But like, that's a place where I know everything can be if I want it to be. Like, it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense that that's not as like like an automatic solution. It should be easy.
I will say, like, for example, with project management software, I think a couple companies that have done it really well in distinguishing themselves against a lot of competition are companies like Monday and Asana.
Mhm.
Both of those companies for project management are amazing and, are often like highly recognizable names within a lot of different
Yeah.
industries nowadays. And so I think those are companies to follow suit after if you're looking at, expanding into multiple industries and making a program that people can really tie into. Well, I think that they've kind of opened people's eyes into what can and
Yeah.
should be done for running your businesses.
Yeah, there on the business side of things, there are certainly some good applications like Asana. I actually really like Slack. I think that's a very good team communication platform. But like I just want one calendar that puts everything, like life and work. Like it doesn't, you don't, and you don't even, you could anyway. I'm not like getting on a tangent on this, but it's like obviously a thing that I've spent some time trying to figure out that just doesn't exist. But anyway, before I go on another
Trust me,
calendar rant,
I have a whole list of like business ideas of like side projects that I
yeah,
could be taking on.
yeah,
Like a whole marketing suite for realtors with their new listings and whatnot. Like
yeah,
there is so much opportunity out there if you just have the confidence in yourself to go after and imagine what can be, and are
right,
able to communicate that with other people.
right,
It's different, I mean, this isn't like the 1900s where we're going to go all start like brand new industries and brand new companies,
right,
but there's still a lot of opportunity to forge new ways and new kind of niches and things like that to really help people succeed
yeah,
regardless of the industry.
yeah. Completely agree. Well, let me this. Oh, I feel like we just talk about this stuff forever, but let me switch gears. I want to have time to ask you the
Yeah.
questions I ask every guest. First one,
Mhm.
related to the name of the show is what is your why? What's driving you and kind of pushing you towards bigger and bigger success?
I think I'm a really big proponent of, mental health and that work-life balance. I have two young children myself, a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they're my whole world. I have a wonderful husband and all of that as well, but you know, I want to be the best version of myself for them. And I want to show them all of the possibilities that this world has to offer. And really, if you have your eye on something and you have a vision, I want to empower them to go after that.
Yeah,
Um, I think a lot of people feel like, the gold rush is past and all these opportunities are in the past and you've made it or you haven't. But the fact of the matter is like life is still moving on. Like things are coming up every day. The world is changing every single day. And if you just stop and recognize, what makes you happy, what is it that you feel that you can contribute to this world to leave it a better place at the end of the day, and you're able to focus on that and harness it, and that's what you choose to kind of work through for your life goals. I think, at least for me, I feel like it's setting my kids up for an adventure filled life, with endless possibilities.
yeah. I would guess that, well, people who have listened to the show know I would couldn't agree with that more. If you can see the background behind me, you know that I couldn't agree with that more. But yeah, just letting them know that that I mean, like really the sky's the limit. It's just
Yeah.
there's nothing holding you back except yourself. And I think you can
Well,
only portray that by living
words
that
only
way.
go so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, words only go so far. Like you can tell kids all day long that you're the best, you're the funniest, you're the sweetest, like be a good person, do this, do that. But at the end of the day, action speaks so much louder than words. So,
Yeah. 100% agree. That's great.
mhm.
Tell us something about yourself that isn't common knowledge. Special skill, a hobby, anything to let the listeners know you better.
I'm ambidextrous.
That's cool.
It's
Like
weird.
like you can
I
write with both hands.
I can write with both hands. I played college lacrosse left-handed. I tumbled in cheerleading right-handed. I mainly write right-handed, but I can bowl left-handed or right-handed.
Super cool.
So
Super cool. I
yeah.
can do virtually nothing with my left hand. It's like it's a very, I mean, well, it's funny because I do surgery. Left hand works fine there, but don't try to have it do anything else. It's just pretty useless outside of the OR. So that's super cool. Caroline, when people hear this and they want to reach out to you, what's the best way? We'll put whatever you want in the show notes as well.
Yeah, our new website should be up next week. It's rewardrealtysolutions.com. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in California or would like to get connected with a top agent somewhere in another city throughout the country, I have a huge network of top agents available to me. I'm happy to interview agents for you and help connect you if you're looking for investment opportunities or buying or selling opportunities there.
Awesome. Final question for you. What piece of advice would you give to someone who's, and you can apply this to being an agent or whatever you want really, but someone who's looking to get started, what advice would you give them to sort of motivate them? And they hear this story and your interview and they're excited. What would you tell them to get them going?
Get started with what? Like their careers or their investments?
Honestly, you can take it in whatever direction you want, but I generally think get started in real estate, get started in business. If you want to take it as an agent, that's fine as well. I think anything that you feel is applicable to what you're doing.
Find a mentor. Find a mentor that you trust, somebody whose opinion that you value, and stay curious. Curious people, I feel like, are the best people to work with, and some of the smartest people I've ever met. There's so much out there to learn, even if you think that it's not applicable to you. Like, as we've talked about today, like, other industries are absolutely applicable. I am 100% sure that something that you're doing in your business, if I had like a look into it, I would be like, oh my God, that's genius. If only I could translate it to Yeah. I think that people always have some kind of kernel of genius within them that's just waiting to be like awoken and harnessed. And so listen to those around you, talk to people around you, stay curious about your industry and other people's industry, and be humble. Just approach it, listen to people's stories, and in all honesty, I think that you're not only going to help them, but you're going to help yourself too.
Yeah, completely agree. It's amazing. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the show today. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think people get a lot of value out of it, and hopefully I think some just some inspiration in terms of kind of how, as you just said, like the cross or the applicable pieces from one industry to another, and kind of seeing where those things fit in, just thinking outside the box a little bit. I think that'll inspire people to do that. So thank you very much for coming on and being a guest.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks listening, I know you're going to love this episode. Please like, rate, and review the show so we can get more great guests like Caroline. And thank you all for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?